Hi there, this is Fussion and I'm Hassan. Most big companies start as ideas among friends, but with persistence and courage, they have changed the world. On this episode, we will talk about the company that was started by two friends from almost nothing, and today they are buying up big companies. Let us go to Cold Fusion and see more about this company that changed the way we find things.
(1995). I was 5 years old and the public internet was only 3 years old. People didn't really know what the internet was or how to use it, or even if it was of any use to them. On one particular day in 1995, history would change forever. A 22-year-old Larry Page and a 21-year-old Sergey Brin meet for the first time at Stanford University. Larry and Sergey soon become good friends and begin collaborating on a search engine called Backrub. In 1995, there were about 13 search engines to choose from, and they were all terrible. They didn't give back anything remotely close to what you asked for. But Backrub was different. It had a secret formula. It was called PageRank, and you're looking at it now. This one formula was one of the reasons that Backrub performed so much better than the other search engines of the time. This was the key, the secret. This formula will indirectly be worth billions in the future. On September 15th, 1997, Backrub was changed to Google.com. And the rest, as they say, is history. Google, the stuff you probably don't know. A lot of us just really see the surface of Google. We use their online services like Google Search, Gmail, YouTube, and Google Plus every day. Many of us have a phone featuring Google software, and maybe even Google hardware. Google's self-driving cars and augmented reality glasses are cool, but very few people ask themselves the question, how big is Google, and what else are they up to? Let's find out. Please make sure you're seated before you continue. Google is much bigger than you think. First, we'll look at 5 interesting Google acquisitions of the past, but then we'll look a bit deeper into some revolutionary things that the company has been doing over the past few months.
Number 5.
Android. Acquisition date, 17th of August 2005. Cost, $50 million. We all know what Android is, and no doubt the best part of Android is its open source nature. This allows the operating system to be on anything from phones to cars to fridges. Android is everywhere. Out of the 261.1 million smartphones sold in 2013, 211 million of them were running Android. That's over 80%. Android has allowed access for countries such as China to really have a serious shot at the smartphone industry. Let's move on. Google is obviously just more than Android.
Number 4.
YouTube. Acquisition date, 10th of December 2006, at a cost of $1.65 billion. I will do no justice to convey just how mind-blowingly huge YouTube is. The facts will do this for me. Looking at YouTube purely just as a search engine, it's bigger than Bing, Yahoo, and Ask, all combined. In fact, it's the largest search engine on the planet, second to only Google Search itself. So it's obvious that people are searching for a lot of things. This only must mean there's a lot of content on YouTube. But how much continuous video content actually gets uploaded per day? Maybe a week? 1 month of continuous video? 2 months? A year? Nope. Try a decade. That's right, over a decade's worth of video is uploaded at a rate of 72 hours per minute. And that's just in one day. It's nothing. If you start adding it up, it gets even stupider. For 1 month, just 1 month, there is 4 billion hours worth of video watched each month. That's over 450,000 years worth of video watched in just 1 month. And of course, as you watch this particular video on YouTube, those rates are increasing. I could go on with the facts, but there's a lot more crazy stuff to cover in this video.
Number 3.
Motorola Mobility. Acquisition date, 15th of August 2011, at a cost of $12.5 billion. Motorola Mobility was in trouble in the early 2010s, and Google used this opportunity to get themselves into the hardware side of the smartphone world. But halfway through the production of this video, something very interesting happened. Google sold Motorola Mobility to Lenovo for $2.9 billion. This makes it seem as if Google's interests were elsewhere. Perhaps they just wanted to hang on to some of the patents that they acquired from the acquisition of Motorola to help Android defend itself against Apple, perhaps in court cases in the future, or perhaps the ones past.
Number 2.
Boston Dynamics. Acquisition date, 10th of December 2013. Cost? Unknown. Okay, so this is where things start to get a little bit crazy. Remember those robots I was showing you a while back in that top 10 video? Google bought Boston Dynamics, the company that created the robotic technology. If you want to know more about these amazing robots, just check out the first YouTube video link in the description below. This acquisition means that Google now owns some of the most advanced robotic technology on the planet. It doesn't end there though.
Number 1.
Nest. Acquisition date, 13th of January 2014, at a cost of $3.2 billion. Nest Labs previously created some very beautiful smart thermostats and smoke detectors as part of their goal to create a conscious home. Google is going to help them do that in a very big way. We may eventually see a home powered by Android and Google Now. These kind of acquisitions will be quite interesting over the next 5 years or so. And here's a bonus item. DeepMind. Acquisition date, 26th of January 2014. This was Google's first AI company acquisition. DeepMind can be described as a world-class, groundbreaking technology on the cutting edge of machine learning. They use systems neuroscience to build powerful and general-purpose learning algorithms.
But let's get to the Google robot, because it seems like they have all of the parts in place, so let's dissect a bit. Let's start with what would be the brain of the robot, and that is DeepMind. We don't actually know that much about this company, but we know that it was created by a child prodigy who liked chess and has gone on to create games. And we know that they have some patents in looking at images, their technology, and deciphering what's inside the images without humans saying what's actually in those images. And then let's...
So critical thinking.
Exactly,
Yeah.
critical thinking.
As I said earlier, this video is not a tinfoil hat video, so the aim is not to scare people. So I'm going to tell you facts. According to official statements, the DeepMind technology is going to be used for Google image search. For now anyway. For the first time in history, we're seeing the successful development and demonstration of general-purpose AI. Its name is AlphaGo, and it was made by Google's DeepMind division. The AlphaGo AI algorithm beat a human at the world's hardest game. This is a historic moment in computer science and artificial intelligence. So what exactly is Google DeepMind? Where did it come from? And what can the company's artificial intelligence actually do? In this video, we'll find out.
A computer program beat a human brain at the ancient Chinese board game of Go. The final score 4-1, a triumph for artificial intelligence equipped with human intuition.
The victory of a program over a human in the ancient board game Go has sparked intrigue and, in some cases, concern. It shows that a machine has approximated human intuition and outsmarted the best human brain in the game. It's something that scientists hadn't expected to happen for at least another decade, and it's a giant leap for artificial intelligence, showing that machines can learn on their own.
I think maybe the game ended.
No, I don't think so, because it looks like he is still counting.
No, I think he resigned.
Wow, I think you're right. Wow. Wow.
This was the moment a computer called AlphaGo beat a master of the ancient Chinese game Go. It's not the first time a grandmaster's been humbled by a machine. But what makes AlphaGo different is that it's the first demonstration that machines can truly learn and think in a human way. AlphaGo's victory shocked experts in the artificial intelligence community. Many thought such an event was at least a decade away.
So firstly, a few questions. Why is this important, and what's all the fuss? AlphaGo shows that machines can really learn. How so? Well, instead of using brute force to calculate all the moves it could make, like previous AIs, AlphaGo used reinforcement learning and neural networks to mimic the learning process of a human brain. Keep in mind that the ancient Chinese game Go has as many more possible moves than chess as there are atoms in the entire universe. So there's no way of just calculating every possible move on the board. That's practically impossible. For this reason, Go is the holy grail of AI, and learning to do such a task from scratch is a huge feat. Further to this, DeepMind's creators say that the algorithm can learn many more things without alteration or guidance. In other words, the AI is general purpose.
We always used to talk about, well, if we could eventually crack Go and have a program that could beat the world champion, then we must have invented some generic, general purpose algorithm. So maybe we're on the cusp of all of that.
If you ask a great Go player why they played a particular move, sometimes they'll just tell you it felt right. So the one way you could think of it is that Go is a much more intuitive game, whereas chess is a much more logic-based game.
So what is DeepMind? Google DeepMind is a British artificial intelligence company that was founded in September of 2010 as DeepMind Technologies. It was renamed when it was acquired by Google in 2014 for $500 million. Interestingly enough, this was just after Facebook had just finished negotiations with them in 2013. And another fun fact, Elon Musk is actually an investor in the company, just to keep an eye on them, of course. DeepMind received the Company of the Year award by the Cambridge Computer Laboratory in 2014. So where did DeepMind come from? DeepMind was first a startup co-founded by Demis Hassabis in 2010. Demis was a child genius of sorts, and went from being a chess prodigy and reaching master level at age 13, onto becoming the lead programmer of Lionhead Studios for groundbreaking games such as Black and White. After this, he went on to start his own gaming studio before leaving to complete some extra studies at the University College of London. This is where he would meet the future co-founders of DeepMind in 2010. So what is the goal of DeepMind Technologies? According to their website, their goal is to solve intelligence. They are trying to achieve this by combining the best techniques from machine learning and systems neuroscience to build powerful general-purpose learning algorithms. Or in other words, they want to formalize intelligence, find out what it is and how it works. The end game is not just to implement this into machines, but also understand the human brain. Demis explains further. Quote, attempting to distill intelligence into an algorithmic construct may prove to be the best path to understanding some of the enduring mysteries of our minds. End quote. The key here is that this machine is general purpose. This is very important, but more on this later. Okay, so how does this all work? The AI from DeepMind uses a technique called deep reinforcement learning, which makes it very different from other AIs, such as IBM's Watson or the primitive Siri or Google Now. The AIs just mentioned were only developed for a predefined purpose and only function within their scope. DeepMind claims that their system is not pre-programmed and it learns from experience using only raw pixels as data input.
So the way we start off training AlphaGo is by showing it 100,000 games that strong amateurs have played that we've downloaded from the internet. And we first initially get AlphaGo to mimic the human player. But of course, ultimately, we would like AlphaGo to be stronger than human amateurs and compete with the top professionals. So the way we do that is, after we take that first version that's learnt to mimic human play, we then allow it to play itself 30 million times on our servers, and using reinforcement learning, the system learns to improve itself incrementally through it avoiding its errors and increasing and improving its win rate against older versions of itself. And after all these games, then you end up with a new version that can beat the old version, the original version, around 80-90% of the time.
Technically, the reinforcement that DeepMind uses is model-free, meaning that it doesn't need a structure or set of rules to learn. According to MIT's take on the Google algorithm, the neural network, in theory, should be able to access an external memory in a manner that mimics the short-term memory of the human brain. In a way, it almost seems like our brain's design might be the most efficient way for the creation of local intelligence. Who would have guessed? So that's all good. What about this general purpose term? What does that actually mean? Well, because the machine learns from raw experience and data, it can perform well across a wide variety of tasks, straight out of the box. Okay, so that's enough talk. Let's watch the system in action, learning how to play Breakout. And remember, the machine didn't have any foreknowledge as to what task it was going to complete. It had to figure out how to do everything only from its own experience.
Is the machine before training. So this is literally the first time the machine has ever seen this data stream, and it's controlling the green rocket here, and you can see it's losing its 3 lives immediately. So it's basically terrible at the game, as you would expect. Now after training, this is like overnight, we leave it playing the game overnight on a normal computer, so for about 8 hours. You come back in the morning and now it's superhuman level. So now the machine can play Space Invaders better than any human can. It's modeled the world, the game world so well, it knows where the Space Invaders will be ahead of time. So as the Space Invaders speed up, when you get less of them on the screen, it fires the final shot as a kind of predictive shot of where the final Space Invader will be in a few seconds time.
But the cool thing is, after understanding how to play a few games, it will be able to transfer this knowledge and understanding across more games. At the moment, DeepMind is currently playing games from the 1970s and 80s, but work is currently being done on more complex 3D games such as Doom, which appeared in the early 90s. So what could general purpose AI be used for?
We'd love to use these types of algorithms for things like healthcare and science, and improve the speed of breakthroughs in those areas by helping human experts achieve more.
In a number of interviews, Dennis has talked about applications in healthcare, smartphone assistance, and robotics as possible applications for general AI. Some other applications of such AI include online customer service, computer vision, finance, general computer science, and news publishing and writing. General purpose AI actually could be huge. It can be thought of as another emerging science. Much like Newtonian physics laid the groundwork for technology such as rockets, a science founded in general purpose digital neural networks that use reinforcement learning could lay the groundwork for unimaginable things in the near future. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the video, but there's one pressing question. Should we be worried? In the thousands of years of meaningful civilization, our modern existence right now is an anomaly. We've overcome the limits of nature with technology that helps us facilitate such a lifestyle. But artificial intelligence is different. The reason being, AI is the first thing humans have created that tends to function in a way that we can't predict. So, should we worry? My belief is that the fear of the unknown is mostly what drives the hysteria that arises from AI anxiety. There's not enough time in this video to go through all the theories of how things could turn out, but it's an interesting topic within itself. The website Wait But Why has a fairly interesting and comprehensive look at AI. We don't have time to explore it all, but the article does raise an interesting point though. It's about how humans have an inability to perceive exponential change. For a long time, people aren't going to take AI seriously, and it would seem like progress is very slow, but then suddenly, it could overtake our wildest expectations. One of the methods that AI could use to achieve this outcome is by giving itself an ability for self-improvement, thus following the law of accelerating returns. Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have both shown their reservations towards AI, but others like Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft, have different views. If you can forget about the movie Terminator for a second, there is a possibility that AI could be man's greatest aid, fixing fundamental problems on our planet and allowing us to have technology and infrastructure that could have otherwise taken us centuries if we tried to figure it out ourselves. Google X is a semi-secret facility run by Sergey Brin and Astro Teller. Google X aims to, quote-unquote, improve technologies by a factor of 10, according to Astro Teller. He goes on to say, think of science fiction sounding solutions. In late 2013, Google went on a robotics company acquisition spree. Every day they purchased a new company that operated in fields such as humanoid robots, robotic arms, and computer vision. I guess we just have to wait for the announcement to see what they're really up to. Another very interesting project is Project Loon. Project Loon aims to provide internet service for the 4 billion people that don't yet have access. It aims to do this via balloons in the stratosphere. The balloons will float in the stratosphere about 20 miles or 32 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The balloons will create an aerial wireless network with 3G speeds. It's hoped that Project Loon will bring a low-cost way to get the rest of the world online. So as you're seeing, some amazing advances in technology are happening right now. It's an exciting time to live. Anyway, we'll take a short break and then we'll be straight back after this. let's get straight back into it. Recently, Google was part of a world-first event. Let's check out the news bulletin from CNN to see what it was.
Google and NASA have teamed up to share one of the world's first commercial quantum computers. This machine, made by Canada's D-Wave, will be installed in a NASA research center in California.
Yep, so as it turns out, Google is also in the quantum computing game. Now, we really don't have enough time to go into all the details of what it does and how it does it, but the bottom line is Google is involved in one of the world's first commercially available quantum computers. Now, performance-wise, it's not that great for a quantum computer. It's just a tiny bit faster than a regular computer at the moment. But of course, it's the very first version of a brand new sort of computing, so it's going to take some time to get there. But it's pretty cool, that chip you're staring at is an actual quantum computer. It's hoped that this computer could be used in the future to solve very complex optimization problems, one of which is global warming. But of course, one step at a time. The mysterious barges. In October 2013, 4 strange floating barges were found off the coast of Treasure Island, San Francisco, Rickers Wharf, Portland, and New London in Connecticut. Google refused to give any detailed statements about the use of the 4 250 feet long, 2,000 plus ton barges. The only explanation given for their existence was to, in quotes, to use the barge as an interactive space where people can learn about new technology. Some say it's just a storehouse or marketing area for Google Glass, but no one knows for sure. And now we'll end off the video with the most recent announcement. January 16th, 2014, Google announced their specialized contact lenses. These contact lenses will provide a glucose monitoring system for diabetics using a non-intrusive method. So, over the next decade, we may see home automation from a conscious house, advanced intelligent robotics, and the global expansion of internet coverage. But in 10 years, just how much will Google own? Their services may already account for almost 40% of all internet traffic. In one way, it's a bit unsettling to see a company have such a large and growing embrace over every aspect of the technological universe. But on the other hand, it only can be, and it has to be Google that advances the state of our world. There's no other company out there that has the resources and infrastructure to do the research and develop such amazing technologies and produce products at a reasonable price for the world. The only thing I ask of you, Google, is to just stay sincere. So you've just seen all the latest information about one of the largest, most dynamic and influential companies we're ever likely to see for a long time. So what do we take away from all of this? Well, you can look at it this way. The founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, were just 2 regular guys. 2 regular college dropouts to be exact. They saw a need for more accurate search, and they put their minds to it, and you've just seen the result. So the next time you feel like giving up on an idea, just think about that. 2 very intelligent, but otherwise regular guys changed the world. So what do you have to lose?
Yes, Google, but you too may be sitting on the next big idea. Don't Hi there, this is Fussion and I'm Hassan. Most big companies start as ideas among friends, but with persistence and courage, they have changed the world.